Welcome to Real Estate Real World, where we talk to the movers, shakers, and leaders that are getting it done right now in the real estate industry and beyond. I'm your host, Marguerite Crespillo, and I started this podcast simply dedicated to calling people about what's really happening in this crazy roller coaster ride of real estate. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and stay up to date on the newest stuff by adding yourself to the list at www.realestaterealworld.com. Now, let's dive into the world of real estate. Hello, everybody. It's Marguerite Crespillo. And today I have a pretty extraordinary guest. I've met this woman a few years ago, and every single time I talk to her, I hear about something else amazing she has done or is doing. She is a ball of fire. I don't know if she even weighs like 110 pounds. She's a little tiny thing, and I swear she packs the biggest punch of just about anyone I know. She is an extraordinary agent, coach, has been a wedding photographer, has been, I don't even know, there's a long list of the amazing things that this woman has done in addition to being a mom, a grandma, a wife, and all that stuff. So please, everybody, give a warm welcome to my very good friend, Gail DeMarco.
Hey, Marguerite. Thanks for having
Hello,
me.
beautiful. I'm so excited to have you here. We've been trying for a while, but I know how crazy your schedule is. So I'm excited to have you. And I love your little name there, Mama G, because you are the queen bee, really. We should be calling you Queen Bee.
A lot of my agents call me Mama G, and because I have 6 grandkids and 4 kids, and it's great because a lot of the agents that have been on my team have young families, and they always come to me for advice. And I always say, put your family first. So thanks for having me, Marguerite.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to have you here. So every time I talk to you, I hear about something else amazing that you've done. And I know it doesn't seem amazing to you. I always hear of all this stuff that you've done. And I'd love for you to go back in time a little bit and talk about what you've done in the past and what brought you into the real estate world.
Okay, let's see. Way back when? No, honestly, I've been a photographer since I was the yearbook photographer in high school, and I've always loved photography. I always thought I would die with a camera in my hand. And basically, what happened about 10 years ago, this is my 10th year in real estate. It'll be 10 years in November. And what are we in February here? 2024.
Yeah.
So I had a bad accident, and it was one of those things where I fell off my horse. I broke my hand. I shattered my hand, and it was in a cast for almost 2 years. So I had to learn how to shoot. And I didn't just do weddings, but I would say weddings were 75% of my business. I started in rock and roll photography. I worked for Baron Woolman, who was the very first. Brian always says, oh, she was a Rolling Stone photographer. No, I worked for the guy that was part owner at Rolling Stone magazine, and the very first photographer. Baron took me under his wings. Wow. And he's the one that I actually, when I think about it, I prospected him. Because people are like, I'm afraid to prospect. I didn't even know I was prospecting. And I got him to write me $100,000 check. And that was 20-something years ago. So that was worth like $1 million to me to publish a Harley Davidson book. And so at the end of the day, he was the mentor to me. I bought my first camera, like medium format camera, because it was always 35 millimeter, but loved photography, had that accident. And I would have a friend of mine, Nicole, follow me around, phenomenal photographer. And she would take pictures behind my back because I'm booked a year ahead of time. So if I cancel weddings, that's like canceling $300,000-$400,000 worth of business. So I figured out really quick how to shoot left-handed. But then things started happening where like my back was out. I just realized the wear and tear of these heavy tripods and all this camera equipment. And the worst thing was giving up my weekends a year ahead of time. Imagine you don't get your graduation dates from your kids, right? So imagine your son is graduating Berkeley and you are running in after a wedding right after he gets his diploma. You don't even get to see that. He doesn't even know I didn't get to see that. He won't watch this podcast, but I missed so many things. We didn't have a lot of FaceTiming back then. We didn't take videos and say, your kid just kicked a field goal, or Your kid just flipped off the referee and walked off. He's walking 5 miles home.
Uh,
So I missed a lot, right? And so somebody, I was just telling today, somebody had asked me about an agent. I'm like, she's the one actually that told me that I should get a real estate license because I had a good personality. And I just thought that was the worst job on earth. I'm like, that is boring. Who the heck would want to show people's homes? And most of the time, most of the homes I go in, people aren't very clean, right? So who would want to show homes to do all that paperwork? Because I was just like, paperwork. I'm one of those types that I have to be a perfectionist at it. Whether I'm paddleboarding, I don't just buy a paddleboard, I race it, right? So it's whatever I do, it's like, why do anything half assed? Why be mediocre? Just do it to be great. Not to beat anybody in particular, but yourself, right?
right.
And that's always like my goal. How can I beat myself? Like this morning, I'm doing pickleball lessons with my husband, and we just started playing about 2 months ago. And it's one of those things where I can, when I'm on the court and I suck, I can just see myself getting better. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go watch all the pros this weekend and just start watching. Because if you want to be a pro, you got to hang out with the pros. That's it.
That's so funny. Joe literally for Valentine's Day gave me a pickleball set because I've said I've been wanting to play.
Or you got to
And
put one in your yard.
I got to try it out. So he got me a whole pickleball set, and I'm like, oh, now I got to go figure out how to play. But I want to tell you before we move on about photography, a funny story. I know I've told you this. One of the best pictures I've ever had taken of my life was taken by you, and I didn't even know you or know who you were at the time. It was a friend of mine's wedding, and and the wedding was a
Oh,
mess.
that's right.
The wedding was a mess, and everybody was arguing and fighting, and I was pissed off, so I went and I was like, one of the bridesmaids, so I went and just sat on the sidewalk because 'cause I'm like, "I'm just gonna sit here and wait till these gals figure their crap out." So I'm all pissed off, I'm sitting there, I'm having a coffee, and you walk up and you're like, "Can I take a picture of you?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And I just looked at you, and you could tell I'm pissed in the picture, but it doesn't look that way. And Joe, it's one of Joe's favorite pictures. He loves that picture. So I'm gonna have to find it before we air this so that I can see if I can put it in the show.
It's
But
so
you took that picture and it was so funny. I was like, that's wild. Yeah.
I will never forget that wedding. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a doozy. That one didn't last very long either, but that's okay.
You know what? That's when I knew I was a good negotiator because she was ready to call off the wedding as she was sitting on the toilet with her wedding gown, and I talked her into going through the walking down that aisle. And it's funny because you never know you have certain skills that will transfer over to another business, right? And
100%.
imagine being a wedding photographer, you're dealing with the most emotional people on an emotional roller coaster, and
Crazy.
people that get nasty and people that are late and timelines. So people are like, how did you do what you did in 10 years? Actually, I'm not really selling as much right now because I'm doing more coaching, but it's if you're a hairdresser, you make a great agent, right? You just can't do both. A lot of people think it's a side hustle. Real estate is not a side hustle,
No.
but it's just having conversations, understanding instead of telling them, listening to them, and just asking questions, right? This is a business that if you can really dial down to what their motivation is and what they need, then you can help them.
So tell me one question before we move on to real estate is who's the most famous person you've photographed?
Let's see, I would probably say I used to do a lot of work with the Doobie Brothers, Pat Simmons, ZZ Top, Jay Leno, probably Jay. Let's see, I was big in the motorcycle world. Kenny Loggins, I was his photographer for about 6 months. Loved that man, loved him. I worked for Bill Graham Presents, BGP, so I did a lot of different concerts and that sort of thing. Oh gosh, Willie Nelson, just a
Willie
lot.
Nelson just turned 90 something years old,
Yeah,
right? It's
as a matter of
crazy.
fact, he's actually playing tonight. We're trying to get tickets to get there tonight. He's playing here in St. Augustine. So that was his birthday party. They actually hired us to go to his birthday party and just all kinds of great people there. And that was at the Roxy or one of those places in LA. It was a lot of fun. And now his son, I love his son Lucas. What amazing music.
Oh, yeah, very
Yeah.
talented. So you started in real estate. So what did that look like?
Oh,
Who did you go to work for? How did you figure out what you were gonna do?
as in this industry, nobody is really that sharing, right? Or everybody thinks it's a secret. Hey, you're a brand new agent. Let me take you under your wing and kind of help you become what I am because there's a lot of people that just want you to be behind the scenes. Just they're afraid you're going to take what they know and you're going to steal their business. And they have that mindset of not definitely the opposite of abundance, but just a mindset of this is special to me. I'm going to hold it close. And even the Bible says if you hold the money close to you, you will never get anything because God wants us to give. God wants us to shine, right? God wants us to be servants of Him. And not, I haven't always been like a heavy duty Christian. I'm still not. I'm still always, I'm ashamed of myself. Why did I do that? But at the end of the day, as a photographer, I had a 4,000 square foot studio right downtown Sacramento. And people would drive up from Napa, from San Francisco. And then I'd also have not little, all kinds of photographers come into my studio, but never identify themselves as a photographer. There's look at my gallery and they'd start looking at my albums. And I'm like, you're a photographer. Do you want me to leave? Why would I want you to leave? I'm looking at your stuff. So let me show you how I got that shot. So nobody would help me. And as luck has it, I in my first actually it was I was in real estate 1 year, and I remember I applied at Remax. They said, "Nah, you're like a new agent. We don't really want new agents here. You only had one sale for 210,000 in Stockton," and I was like, "That really was $1 million sale because then their sister bought and they bought a house and well." Anyway, it really didn't matter. So what happened was I started prospecting FISBOs because nobody, and I used to hear this woman, and she was a Remax agent, and I used to hear her every single morning on the phone. And I asked the broker, the manager, I said, "What is she doing?" He's like, "Why don't you just ask her?" And her name was Carla Carlson. She retired. Super mean to me then. She's nice to me now. But I went to her desk and I knocked on her office door and I go, "Hey, can you tell me what you're doing?" And she's seriously, that was her body. Like, why? I'm like, because I don't really know too much. And it really helped me. And she was not helpful at all. So what I did the very next day, I said to the manager, I go, "I want that office right in the back." It was right behind her office. And he's like, "Why? It has no windows." I'm like, "I don't care." I said, "Just give me that office." And so in the morning, she'd get in at 8. I'd get in there at 7:45. I'd be all set up and I'd have a glass. And it would be like this on the wall. I'd be listening to everything she said. I could hear it word for word. And it was basically she was calling expireds. And it was like, "Hi, I'm Carly Carlson. And I noticed your house came off the market. And I actually specialize in homes that didn't sell the first time. And I just happen to be removing a lockbox at 4 o'clock in your neighborhood. Would you mind if I just stop by and give you my opinion on what I could do to get it sold?" So it was just something like that. And I couldn't afford coaching. So I thought, "Shit, let me just see what she's doing." So I remember calling my first FISBO. And I'm really good at first. Like I'll tell you about my door knocking experience last weekend. So my first FISBO, it was 3,600,000, almost $4 million, and I'd never been in a house that was $4 million. So I called up and the guy answered, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" He answered. I'm like, "Oh, okay." He's
Now
like,
what?
"Hey." So next thing I knew, I jumped in my car and I went down to meet him. And he was actually next door to the country club where I sold a lot of weddings at. I shot a lot of weddings. As a matter of fact, I just sold their personal home to people that own the country club. I was walking around with him. He had plans. He had one build. He was building three more. And I looked at him and I said, "I really would like to work with you." And he said, "Oh, I always give everything to Nick Sadik." And I'm like, he goes, "But Nick has 27 listings and he's too busy. So if I give him my listing, it won't get any attention." And so I think I'm just going to work with Joey because she'll be my second choice. I go, "Why would you ever want a second choice?" I said, You just told me you put all of your savings into these four houses. There were four homes in a little lot." And I said, "What if I get, I don't even know how I thought of this, but I go, what if I get, I didn't know who Nick was. What if I get Nick Sadik to hire me? Would you give me the listings?" And he was like, I said, "I'll make sure you have all the attention. I'll make sure that your house is his number one priority." And he said, "Yeah, I would." So I got on the phone. I started calling Nick. He didn't call me back. This is how I learned prospecting. Got on the phone, call him back. Probably called him 20 times. And then I said, okay. And thank God Nick had a shitty website. I actually rebuilt it for him when we met. He had a terrible branding. By the way, everybody knows that Nick is my number one. He's still my very best friend to this day. So I sent him an email. I still have the email. And I said, "Hey, Nick, Only had my license less than 1 year, and I worked at Remax. I worked on this team. I got yelled at for getting listings on this team. It was Connie Barnes, and she's a wonderful lady too. But this is what I do for Connie. I take her dog to the vet. I will take her car to the car wash. I will empty your trash. I will clean your office. I will show any houses you want. Anything you want me to do, I'll get your coffee. I'll make sure that you have time to go on vacation with your family. That's what got him, because he hadn't taken a vacation with his family for, he said, over 10 years. And so he showed up at an open house that I had because I called him, and he called me immediately, and he goes, you know what? I want to meet you. And he showed up at an open house. I almost called the police. I thought he was a creeper. Seriously. I was like, what's he doing? Because he said, how many? He goes, what days do you want to work? I said, I do 4 every weekend. He goes, you do 4 open houses every weekend? I go, yeah, 11 to 1, and then 2 to 4. Whatever, because I always like small open houses as far as time frame. So I have scarcity and urgency. So everybody sees each other. Came in and asked me to meet with him. And we started a great relationship and worked together for almost 5 years. Yeah.
I love Nick too. I got to get him on the show. I haven't had him as a guest yet. I'm gonna have to reach out and get him on the show.
Yes. He's amazing.
So you spent that time learning all about real estate, but Nick also does higher end luxury type homes. So what is the difference between, say, a traditional home versus a luxury home when it comes to marketing and comes to, because I think a lot of agents are afraid of the, well, everyone wants the luxury homes, but they don't want to do the work required to them. So what would you say is the difference?
So Nick used to have a saying, and he would say, Gail, if anybody knew how easy this was, we'd be in trouble, right? And at the end of the day, so the luxury seller expects a lot, right? And you better have a good little bankroll in your pocket, because our average home would sell. We have a $5,000 budget, right, for marketing, because we don't just put a sign, put it on the MLS, and pray for a buyer. We always pray for the buyers. And believe me, I never sold luxury. And it's not like Nick said, hey, Gail, I got this amazing luxury listing. I want you to come in on me with it. And they're going to price it. The people are super, it's going to be like team playing super great. It usually be like, can you go to Morgan Hill? It's like, where, Morgan Hill? Do you want to go to Calusa? And we show up and there's like weird cult leaders. And I'm like, so I've learned Nick was not going to give me anything, but I've never been given anything. My parents didn't give me anything. My husband never gave me anything, although he did cook me dinner last night. But I've never,
Todd's a pretty extraordinary coach. You have to keep cook, not coach. He's a
yes,
great cook.
absolutely. So,
I'd weigh 400 pounds if I lived with him.
so true. So I started calling Nick's expireds because I noticed Nick had a lot of expireds. So here's what I would say. I would say, hi, Gail DeMarco, Nick Sadek's assistant. How are you? And good. I said, Nick wanted me to call you because Nick, now keep in mind that Nick was usually the first agent. Luxury homes, there's usually 1 to 3 agents, okay? Because they never price it right the first time. Second time, they still think they know better and the other agents suck. Third time, they're like, okay, we're going to listen a little bit. So I'd say, usually it was like the second or third agent I would call and say, Nick asked me to give you a call because he knows your property came off the market. It was absolutely one of his most favorite homes he's ever been in. He wanted to know if you would have time and maybe we can come by and take a look because the buyer pool is really cheap. So I would call his expireds and I'd say to Nick, he's like, why'd you call them? He goes, oh no, I don't want to deal with them. I'm like, you're just going to show up, smile, nod your head once in a while, and let me do the rest, right? I'll tell you what, we'd go in there and get our 6% listings because a lot of people think they need to reduce their commission the higher the home. No, it's more work. And the one thing I will tell you, that is not, even though I'm an ambassador to the luxury community at EXP, I was very honored when they asked me to be one of their ambassadors. There's 12 of us. It is not my complete focus because a lot of my luxury sellers buy homes for their kids or they buy investment properties, right? So you have to know how to sell all of them. But when you're dealing with the luxury guy, you have to look like you can afford to buy that property or you've lived in a property. Now, if you're 21 years old or 25, obviously that doesn't always transfer over, but you have to have the confidence. It's all about confidence. They want to know that you're going to lead them. I take them by the hand and I let them know that this is teamwork, and that I don't need to work with people that aren't going to be in the same team. So it's one of those things where I'd rather walk away all day long. I'll walk away if they're going to be a pain. And when I say that, they're not going to listen to pricing. They're not going to listen to staging. Why do I want that? It's going to cost me money. I don't need that. Move on. Go to the next one. So it's definitely a different dog. And for me, I always said no lockbox, no life. Right. So if you have to do every home personally and show it, that's a big deal, right? Because I will tell you, we'd be sitting having dinner with Nick's family after his son just did a recital. And all of a sudden I look at Dean, I go, where's Nick? Oh, he had to go to Dr. So and so's. Dr. So and so. Everybody's doctor. And I was like, man, I don't want this in my life. If they're not gonna let somebody from my team do a showing, because I'm not gonna always be there. And and that's the thing. It's like listings is leverage if you work it the right way, if you set the right expectations and you have the right boundaries. Otherwise, gosh, to me, listings is a 6 month sentence where every time they call and you're afraid to tell them you're going on vacation. No, there's a right way and a wrong way to doing that. Nick always says, how are you in Florida? How are you in India for a month? How are you here? How are you there? I'm like, I just set the right expectations from the beginning.
So that brings up another point. You recently moved from California, where you have a thriving group out here,
Yeah,
and moved to St. Augustine, Florida. And you are loving life out there, as I can see. And so, what is this next chapter looking like for you? Because you've had to rebuild your business in Florida and you're now doing a lot of coaching. So, tell
right.
us a little bit about what's been different. Why did you move to Florida and what's been the difference?
Why did I move to Florida? Why are all my sellers leaving California? Come on. Politics. What do you think? Politics
Yeah.
and fires. And well, here's the thing. It's I'm back in California every single month. I'm there for 1 week or 2 weeks, right? Because I still have a big business over there. And I still work with a lot of agents there. And so for me, I didn't get into this business to have to die with a listing in my hand. It's because what I've been able to create at EXP, I have a phenomenal retirement. So I'm never going to retire because I love this business. When I say I love the business, I love, what I can do for clients. Most of the time, I get to pick the people I want to work with. If they're batshit crazy, they're not going to get me to work with, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't get to take psych tests before we can't say, can you take the psych test before we go into this contract? And life is short. So I moved out here because I have 4 grandkids, an hour and a half away, and I have a mother who's 88 years old. And because of EXP, I was just able to purchase her a home so she can move out of my house in walking distance in a 55 community because she moved here from Folsom. And I live in a younger neighborhood where there's not a lot of people, and she's very active. So it was family, fun. I belong to the most amazing beach club here. So I pull my car up and and thanks to EXP, thanks to their stock, I was able to do that, pull my car up. They have my chair waiting. They know that I like Tito's and club soda with 3 limes, and it's a good life. So
I'm
I'm
telling you, the videos, you need to do regular videos with your mom because the videos of your mom are like some of the funniest stuff I've seen.
yeah, we're gonna start. And why I haven't done them because she's been depressed. But now we actually went on her walkthrough, yet her inspection yesterday and walkthrough, and she'll be moving in 2 weeks. So I'm gonna take my mom door knocking, which is something that I'm very passionate about.
So with this, then now you are even doing coaching where you're doing door knocking coaching and a number of, tell us about all the different areas that you're coaching in and what that looks like.
So at the end of the day, if you don't have an exit plan, and for me, I figured out really quickly, God, if I coach people in my organization to be more productive, I actually make more money, right? And now, then I thought, you're being short minded. I want to coach anybody that I can give value to. But like I say, listings, you have to have leverage. Same thing with coaching. If you do one on one coaching, it's like you have a ball and chain around your leg, right? Because you can't let those people down. So I
Mhm.
was lucky enough to be asked by 2 different amazing groups. One is Randy Bird, Pete Middleton, Jeff
Love Randy.
Sutherland, Andrea LaFountain, Matthew Stewart, and Dan Hillsman, and they have a Tract Boss. And so every day we meet from 8 a.m. Pacific to 10 a.m. Pacific, and we are working on building our organization, finding our right avatar of people that can really benefit from this platform at EXP so they can build a retirement and they know there's another option besides just paying huge money to these big brands. So that's been so much fun. We've only been doing that for 4 months. I've already added 15 to my organization, which I think is pretty darn good. And
I'm in that group and I love it. Yeah.
that's right. You're the sponsor I picked when I came to EXP.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should talk about that too. But the other group I belong to, Mike Sherrard, he has an amazing thing called Atlas, and it's a non-brokerage. It's not an EXP thing. What he's created is really cool because there's four of us and we all have different gifts. So there's Darren Lagill. I always say his name wrong, like Langill. He's the number one team at Real Brokerage and just super good. And he talks about team building and he's just a really great coach. And then, of course, Mike teaches on YouTube, Instagram, and then Louis Galt, who is even more amazing. I love that guy. He's all about time management, right? So he teaches that. And then I'm the Antichrist, teaches prospecting, picking up and door knocking. Last week, you saw my video, right? I wanted to try something different. I'm like, it's Super Bowl Sunday. What happens on Super Bowl Sunday? People are usually home, and you can normally tell if someone's home. So I knocked 35 doors in 2.5 hours, and I just took my fourth listing this morning from a lady I
Wow.
left a message on a Ring doorbell. So I'll tell you what, I have 1,700 people in this community, and I got in my golf cart, and I'm going to be hitting the doors this weekend. It's like improv at the door. So it's just fun. People are like, what's your script? I'm like, there's no particular script. There's so many different things you have to look at. I'm actually doing a coaching program now in door knocking. So anybody who wants to learn how to really level up and get a bunch of listings real quick, it's the quickest way because guess what? We are all conditioned to say no when we get unless you're really good. I feel like I'm really good on the phones, but most people do sound like they are a solicitor. But when you go door to door and you just start having conversations, two of the listings I have that I got signed, he brought me to his neighbor's house. And on the way back from his neighbor's house, his other neighbor called because I said that it was two doors down. I said that a little message, I'm Gail DeMarco, whatever. And I guess she called, hey, somebody's at my door. She's like 73. She ended up giving me the door code. I went in there and before she even would meet with me, I had my assistant work up a CMA for me. She wanted a price. And now we're meeting on Sunday at 12 noon. She gave me the door code, right? I was like, that's crazy. Maybe because I'm a woman, older woman, I don't know. But really, my only focus is and then we do the Pete Middleton Mastermind. Matt Battaglia, Mitch Reebok. Oh my gosh, these guys are hysterical. It's like the Coast crew. It's
I
every Thursday. Today was seller objections, but it's so I'm in none of these guys' organizations, right?
Yeah, I
I'm
had Mitch on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, and because he's putting out a new book called The Big Lie, which I wrote a chapter for. So I'm excited
oh
to see
wow.
that come out. Yeah. And then
That's
I spent some time with Pete Middleton back in Tennessee a month or so ago and love him. So yeah, what an extraordinary group of people.
is like my heart. He's like my brother from another mother. And I met him at the bar in Cabo. And they're just such giving people. That's why I love this company because at the end of the day, it's so funny. I've been hit up by all these you want to be a new founder, like kind of some company. I don't like to say copycat, but copycat companies that are trying to create something that EXP started 10 years ago. And I'm like, I would never, the amount of information, I've grown so much from being part of this company. And at the end of the day, Marguerite, we all get tired. I called you last night. I called you last night because I was mentally beat. It was a long day. And I was like, but I've got somebody to call, right? I could call Pete. I can call you. And you like slap me in the face and go, snap out of it, DeMarco. It's like, oh, okay. And
No, I love that because to me, that is what you can definitely in this industry feel like you're on an island. And when from the outside looking in, it looks like everyone's got it all together and their life's amazing. And then you really start to talk to people. And a lot of people right now are struggling. They're struggling with changes in the market, they're struggling with the inflation and all the prices. A lot of people are struggling right now, and that's okay. The best thing you can do, and to me, the most successful people that I know on the planet, and I've said this since I got in early, the most successful people ask for help. And the faster that they ask for help and the faster they make that big call, the more
yeah,
successful they are. And that's why I feel so blessed to be in business with you in so many ways because we're both strong women, and a lot of times when you're a strong personality, people think you got it all handled.
right.
And man, we have our moments for sure.
We got feelings too. Uh,
Gail, it's been extraordinary having you on my show today and having you as one of my treasured friends. And I am just so inspired by what you do every day. And I'm excited to see what is next for you. It amazes me. I just turned 60. And so I was having like some pity parties. Oh my, I'm so old. And then I watch you like race around me 50 times, and you're older than me. And I'm like, okay, stop having your pity party, get your butt up and go stand next to Gail, right?
right. It's funny because people are like, oh, I'm too old. Like, what do you mean you're too old? Like, I go to sellers' houses and they're sitting on their lazy boy and they're 5 years younger than me, 10 years younger, and they're just giving up on life. Why?
Yeah.
It
Life
makes
is what you make it, right?
shoot. I raced my first paddleboard race in Lake Tahoe when I was probably 58 years old or something like that. Came in
Wow.
last, my very first race. Not only did I come in last, they had to send a rescue squad out for me. And so forever, and you wear this ankle bracelet. I was on Donner Lake. You wear this ankle bracelet, so they time you. And then the freaking guy, and once he got me, he ran it through the finish line. I'm like, why did you do that? Nobody has ever taken 4 hours. I came back the next year and I won it because I
Wow.
worked so hard. And if anybody knows Donner Lake, and
One
that
of the
one,
coldest lakes
it's
in
like
the world, right?
you have a crosswind like no other. I mean, it was snowing, but I was determined. When I saw this big, heavyset guy with his dog beating me, and had I not fallen in from the wake of the jet ski and almost frozen to death, I maybe would have placed in the last 10, but I was the last. But anyway, so you just keep trying. You fall in. I don't care if it's freezing water. I don't care. You fall on your face because you can't get a list. You're not doing something right to win these listings, or you get a door shut in your face when you're door knocking. That's never happened. I've only been doing it again, like I said last week. So I'm just going back to basics. And that's how I started my career: open houses and door knocking. Guess what? It's free.
It
It's free.
works.
Doesn't cost
It
any money. But I love being partnered with you. And when we decided we were going to come to EXP, I did my research, and you were the only choice because I'd done transactions with you, and you were so cool and calm and collected, and you were so professional. And I'd reached out to you probably 3 years before I even came over to do a training program with me because I was following all your education and your tune up Tuesdays. And I'm like, oh, I want to know that girl. But Remax was so afraid of you then they wouldn't let you in. I didn't know why. But I love working with you. I think you're amazing. Joe's awesome. You're just like my little sister.
I'm bigger than you, just younger than you. So I could be
Right.
both, right? You are truly are an inspiration to me. Every time I talk to you, I get fired up and get excited. And Joe, last night we posted his first TikTok video. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna get you on TikTok where you can go post all your comedy stuff and have fun with it. So if
Oh,
y'all are
cool.
out there listening, go follow Joey C on TikTok. He's having a blast with that. But Gail, I just want to tell you how much I adore you, and I'm so grateful for you to be able to consider you a friend and partner in business. And I just love every conversation we have. So I hope we get to spend
Marguerite,
more time together.
if anybody is out there and they want help, or like have a discovery call and just you feel like you're struggling, um, reach out to me. I'm uh, Relentless Realtor on Instagram, or just call me. It's easy to find me. It's
Yeah,
good.
we'll have her contact information in the show notes here.
Both Marguerite and I, we're so happy to help you. So just, I'm always happy to see if there's anything that I could add to get you going.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you again, Gail, for being here today. Always a pleasure. I'm super honored to consider you a friend and in business. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we get to talk to all the cool people and the movers and the shakers who are doing it right now in this business. So if you need help or guidance in your business in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out, DM me, Facebook message me, smoke signals, doesn't matter. You get a hold of me, we'll get a hold of Gail. We'll have her contact information available on the show as well. We know it's a struggle out there right now, so reach out for help. We're here to help you. Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World. Be sure to share on all of your social media channels and be sure to give us a review when you get an opportunity. It helps rank us up there in the findings because we just hit 35,000 downloads, so pretty exciting. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we talk with masters and leaders in the real estate industry and beyond on how we can raise the bar in our industry. Please subscribe over on iTunes, and while you're there, be sure to give us a review. Your reviews encourage us and help others to find our podcast for show notes and hot topics on what's going on right now in our real estate industry. Also, hop on over to www.realestaterealworld.com and add your name to our email to get early advance notice of upcoming podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and go out there and be a part of the elite masterclass and raising the bar on the real estate industry.